All right, guys, welcome to the first, well, not the first ever, but we're going to call it the first ever Open Your Toys cast discussion episode. And this one will be specifically talking about selling. So no news here, just going to be us yammering about selling, pitfalls, tips and tricks, horror stories, all that kind of fun stuff. I guess I should still do the beginning thing, and I need my show notes to be able to do that. This is the podcast dedicated to the four greatest action figure franchises of the 80s and all time, and those are Swage,
Mask, My Little Pony. Oh, wait. My bad. I always forget these. We got Star Wars. We got G.I. Joe. We got Masters of the Universe. And, of course, Transformers.
Yeah.
See, I switched it up. I didn't do Transformers first.
I like that. Leaving the best for last, right?
That's right.
If you want to kick it with us, we want you to do that right here on our YouTube channel. We're normally every other Sunday, 4 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you can't make the live shows, you can hang out with us in our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/openyourtoys. If you want to just keep apprised of all the latest shows or shows that just passed, you can do that on our Facebook page at facebook.com/openyourtoyscast. No show notes for a discussion episode. We're just going to have a talk here, but on our normal episodes, you can visit openyourtoys.com. Top of the page, there'll be a link to the show notes that'll have links to everything we're talking about, as well as links to subscribe through iTunes, Google Podcasts, RSS, Stitcher Smart Radio. You can email us at team@openyourtoys.com. Leave a voicemail at 720-235-TOYS. And if you want to talk to Mr. Stark, how can people do that?
They can head over to YouTube and type in Lotus Stark and watch some videos of restoring vintage robots. I don't know. They can send me a message over there, I guess.
And we got the Rockster in the house. What up?
What's going on? I didn't realize I was backstage the whole time. I forgot to enter the broadcast studio. I'm reading these old war comics, and I'm like, oh, I guess they're starting late today. And all of a sudden, I realized I never hit the button.
Hey, I saw Shane. Shane's in the chat. I wonder if he wants to join too.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if we can. I don't know if the limit's 5 or 6.
Oh, I thought it was 6.
It might be. So Shade, if you want to join us, you got a audio video device. Please.
I have a hard out at 7:00, so. If somebody else wants to jump in, maybe when I leave. I don't know how long you guys plan on going for.
I don't know. Lotus is pretty long-winded usually, so.
No, I mean it's just it's just a conversation. It's just like when you and I did it, Rock, the other time.
That was a lot of fun.
Episodes? Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We just started talking, and then you never know what's going to happen. So
I agree.
Yeah, and we got more people joining us live than ever, so welcome everybody. Sound off in the chat. We'll fucking send you a shout out, make you internet famous. Let's see, where did I leave off? Cliff, where can people find you, sir?
I post in the group as Red Menace, and I can be found on Instagram as Associate of Horror.
Yeah, go follow him on Instagram or Facebook to find out about all the great horror movies he's watching this season. Rock, what about you, sir?
You can find me on Facebook in the group and the Rock the Farting Dad infamous YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, Swage, ex-host, past host, new current co-host. What about you, sir?
Well, I'm usually in the group, and you can also find me on Silver Singles as Never Too Old to Be Young, 66. Or, I don't know, find me on eBay and buy my shit.
Let's see. And for me, you can find me at Slick McFavorite on Instagram, Facebook. I'm facebook.com/openyourtoys, and then Slick at openyourtoys.com. We got Cass joining us. What up, Cass? KJ Smith just sounding up. Shane here asking the question, phone only right now, will that work? Yes, that will work. So let me figure that out right now. Well, let me get this started first, and then we'll see if we can get some people added here. So like I mentioned, this is going to be our first shot at a discussion format, so no show notes, nothing really in particular to talk about. Brink just chimed in. He's got a question for us to answer during the show as well. But yeah, when I was gone, Rock and Lotus hosted a couple shows that were really successful. People really liked them, just collectors talking about collecting. And given we're in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a recession, probably lots of people maybe needing to sell stuff and not actually selling stuff. Figured it'd be a great time. Well, I shouldn't say I figured. Lotus and Rock figured it'd be a good time to do a selling show, and I concur. So I don't know, Lotus, you had a story, right? Did you want to lead off with that, or
Yeah.
would we rather start with something?
No, that's fine. So obviously I have kind of stopped collecting. I think everyone kind of knows that, and I have a sizable collection. So I've been, selling things here and there, but I just find selling very, very frustrating. I find it just to be a lot of work. If you want to list stuff on eBay, you have to take a lot of very nice pictures of multiple angles of the figure, or if it's a sealed in box figure, you have to take multiple angles. I mean, you basically need to really put a lot of time into the auction, and that way it prevents you from having, cases open up against you, because people like to open up cases. So this last time around, Jason, how you were talking about going to Brian's Toys and, kind of just dumping it all.
Yeah, doing a one-off. Hey, just fucking take all my shit.
So I have some personal experience with that now. So I took 70 figures, 70 sealed figures, ranging from 2010 to 2015, and
we talking about Transformers?
Yes, yeah, all Transformers. I took it to my local comic book shop, and so 70 figures sealed, eBay prices, completed auctions, average $30 to $50 a figure for these things, shipped. So I took it in there, and I said, okay, well, he asked me, what do you want for everything? And I said, well, I don't know, give me $1,500. We'll do that. He's like, no way. Because I'm like, well, it's about $2,100 worth of stuff if we just say they're all $30 a piece. And obviously you guys have overhead and stuff like that. So anyway, about 4 hours later of negotiating, I walked out with 4 hours later of negotiating, I walked out with $800.
What?
For 70 figures.
Oh my God.
So just to let you know, that's these shops are going to pay when they say that they're paying 70% of retail. They're trying to figure out what they're going to be able to sell it for, and they're going to always be way on top of the deal.
Yeah.
And this was a song and dance, multiple phone calls to the shop owner kind of thing. I mean, it was 4 hours.
Like buying a car, you've got the fucking...
he's like, "Oh, walk around. We'll give you a lot more in store credit." I'm like, "Nah, I don't care. I don't want anything. I'm just done. So yeah. So anyway, I do have that firsthand experience now. I have to tell you, the idea of driving down there with boxes of figures loaded to the top of my windows in the car. And
Now, are you talking about your Corvette? Because that wouldn't mean very many boxes in a Corvette.
if you've never owned one, then I guess you won't know, right? There's actually a lot of space in Corvette. So
Is there? Okay.
yeah, there actually
This
is, because
okay.
there's no trunk. It's actually a hatchback. There's absolutely no trunk. So you have you basically have a 2-seater car that has a huge space in the back with no wall.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you
Okay.
want to put a 12-foot pipe, PVC pipe or something like that, it's going to stick out the back, but you can literally slide in from the back and go all the way up to the front.
I
So-
did not know that.
Yeah, there's no partition between the seats and the back, so you get a lot of extra room that way.
Okay.
Anyway,
I can feel that.
so I took it all down there, and it was a good feeling to not have to deal with the stress of selling, because we all know that it is stressful. There's a lot of time involved with setting up these auctions, like I started out with,
Baby.
so that's well, Swage, you know, you do this.
Oh,
You,
I do
you
know.
understand. It's
I'm
a lot,
mad
it's a
you
lot of
didn't-
work.
you didn't
you know.
even say, "Hey, Swade, you want to buy some shit?"
Well, yeah, and I have no idea what you sell or what you collect or whatever, but this was all Chug stuff. It was all sealed from 2010 to 2015. Basically had the whole line of generations numbered from 1 through
Wow.
whatever.
Hey,
the
I did have a
numbers
question. Sorry to cut you off, but the shop that you sold to, would you consider them like a successful shop? Do they have like a giant following, or are they kind of smaller? Because
Yeah.
a lot of times smaller stores, they always seem to be, even if not publicly visible,
Mhm.
they seem to always be struggling, and that's why a lot of times they cut people so short. Even the big shops will do that too, but sometimes, especially comic
Mhm.
focus stores are typically the ones that are, the owners are sleeping there because they can't afford an apartment because they're making
Right.
sure the store stays open.
No, this is a shop. I don't want to get into specifics as to where it is, but this is a shop that's been around for many, many years. Very, very successful shop. I understand, with probably, I'm sure traffic volume is lower now that, that we're in this weird pandemic thing, so I'm sure that changed the pricing structure a little bit. But yeah, it's just, it was like I said, it's an interesting experience. I had a weight lifted off my shoulder. And it motivates me now to continue selling. I have much more to sell, and it just keeps that motivation to keep going. I don't think I'm going to do that ever again, as far as going into a shop and just dumping all that stuff. But at least I can say that I did it. I have real world experience, and you just don't get a lot of money for your stuff. And I'm talking sealed. I'm talking minty packages too. Guys, I'm very crazy. When I was doing all this retail stuff, if you want to go back to any of the shows, I'm crazy about packaging. Like everything, the windows have to be not scratched. You can't have any creases. So this stuff was just mint, and so there's my little experience of just dumping 70 figures for $800.
Hey, Lotus, did you even try to put it on like a Facebook Marketplace or
No,
let go offer up? Because I think you might have gotten more from another collector.
don't want the
another
hassle.
collector might just want. You really?
No,
Oh.
don't want. Just
I'm
don't want the
surprised.
hassle of don't want the hassle of a chargeback. Don't want the hassle of, there's a lot of hassle with that. All
No,
this,
somebody meeting up cash like Facebook Marketplace. I sell stuff on there all the time.
Well,
I find Transformer collectors to be extremely cheap. So I don't
Yes.
know. I
Yes.
don't think it's not. Yeah,
Facebook Marketplace is fucking horrible.
Oh, there
I
you
think
go.
Lotus
Horrible.
hasn't met GI Joe collectors yet. If he thinks they're cheap, Transformer collectors are cheap. Ho ho ho! You haven't met diehard Joe collectors.
Yeah.
So I do have one question because you mentioned something about like them, and I don't know if it was them saying if this was like an advertised thing that they said that they pay 70% of retail. Was that something they were advertising or?
So I had initial phone call with the shop, and I before I lugged all the stuff down there, I'm like, hey, are you guys you guys buying toys, and what's the process? And basically that's what they told me. It's a 70% of retail, and what that really means is if they sell the figure for 30, you're going to get 10.
Yeah.
So and the guy was, when I was there, and like I said, I took the chance and I went there, and he was on eBay the whole time just looking at completed auctions, and right in front of me, just try to figure out, because some of the figures he just never saw, just because like I said, some of those figures were like $50-$60,
Yeah.
some of the older ones. So
Well, and I think a big thing with shops like that is none of my comic shops have good collector stuff, in my opinion. They have a bunch of crap that that they bought for cheap and everybody else has already. Like, I don't ever walk into one of my comic shops or even my toy shops and do they have something good at a normal price. If they have anything good, then it's like 3 times what eBay is, and shit like that. So that's got to be a little tough too, No,
I mean, this is a shop that is very, very large shop, and they have all kinds of toys, from the 70s, 80s, 90s. They carry hot toys, they carry statues. I mean, it's everything that you would want. McDonald's toys, Disney toys, all different types of toys.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely different than my comic shops. My comic shops are have very few like good toys, kind of thing. So
My comic shop is swimming in Power of the Force 2 if you guys are looking.
for $9.99 a piece.
If that.
Hey, that's a great segue. Speaking of Star Wars Power of the Force figures, Jason, how are you doing with that Star Wars collection?
Haven't fucking even cracked a case since I bought
See,
it.
and that's what I'm talking about, guys. It is. I mean, even Jason having, he intentionally bought that collection to part out and sell, keep what he wanted, part out and sell the rest. That's a perfect example. Look at how much motivation it takes us to actually go and start listing stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
I had no problem
much
with
work.
I had no problem with that wrestling figure collection. I had 330 figures, and I turned and burned that thing in about a month and a half.
Well, and I guess that's another thing to look at then. Let's talk about that, the time associated with this. So I can say my big issue is anytime I go to sell a toy, I'm like, oh, I've got to do this and that and this, and even to post one toy, to me, it seems like it's going to be at least a fucking 2-hour effort. And then that's when I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll just put away the dishes and start cooking dinner or something, So from my standpoint, if you're not just set up to do it and continually do it, there's all this kind of overhead. I got to clear off my photography tent. I've got to find what I'm going to do. I've got to look it up on eBay, right? I mean,
you got to do the research.
eBay's the only eBay is literally what people pay for it.
Yep.
The highest price people pay for it is on eBay, because they feel protected and all that kind of shit. And so Rock, what do you do I mean, Rock's constantly flipping stuff. So what do you do? I mean, do you put in a half an hour in between your shower and dinner? Do you wait till a Saturday and you work on it for 8 hours?
Nope, I'll tell you exactly what I did. That wrestling figure collection, I went through it, and there was different brands of figures, and there was different types. There's called Mattel Elite and Mattel Basics. An Elite has more articulation. They sell for more money. They come with soft good like robes and accessories. Basics are more of a kid's line, less articulation. So what I did was I went through the whole lot. I went through the most expensive figures first. I have a black leather couch. That's my photography tent. I put them against the black backdrop. I take a bunch of photos. I mean, since they're wrestling figures, the things people are worried about is, do I have all the accessories, and is there any paint rub? These figures were pretty good, no paint rub, but they had a lot of missing accessories. So I would take basically 20 figures at a time, take a bunch of photos, take about 8 photos of each figure. That would take me 20 minutes, half hour. Then I'd sit down, watch TV with my wife, and as we're watching whatever show on Netflix, Schitt's Creek or whatever, I have a piece of paper and I write Dusty Rhodes Elite. And I look at what it sold for, high, low, and I try to figure out, all right, well, I'm missing the shirt. I'll take $5 off. Then I go to the next figure, Texas Tornado Elite figure. All right, he's missing the robe. Take off this much. And I can turn and burn and put up auctions in about 3 to 4 minutes a figure. All I do is then I look Texas Tornado Mattel Elite. I find somebody's auction, sell one similar, click, and I put up my photos, and then I slightly change their title, and then I add figures sold loose, adult owned. And then when you do enough with your iPhone, it'll start auto-filling. You can almost autofill. It'll be adult owned, non-smoking home, $5 shipping. What else would do? Stiff joints, tight joints, nice paint, and boom, next one. And then also before it took a little while for me to finalize that deal with Shane, but in advance I ordered 100 big bubble mailers because I knew I was going to be selling these figures loose. So I ordered that, went to Home Depot, got bubble wrap, and I knew I could ship up to 2 figures loose for $5. Then anything from like 3 to 5 figures would fit in a priority mail bag for $8. And I turned and burned those, and I made a couple grand on that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, but you do got to put the time in. But like I said, if I'm watching TV, I'm watching some mindless show anyway with my wife, I might as well, make a little extra scratch while I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I mean that was a good point with the sell similar or whatever you want to do is you can auto-populate a lot of fields in eBay with that shit. Just modify the titles a little bit and like you say, use your own photos. Now, so you're saying with your description, it's literally just that little adult owned and what it has, and that's it.
Please look at all pics. If I know it's missing something, I specifically write missing robe, missing sunglasses, but then I price it accordingly. There was one figure I got that I sold it for 100. If I had the robe, I could have got 170.
Wow.
And the figure in the box, I think, is like 200 or 250. But still, I'm not going to complain, though. I mean, I sold through those things so quick. I have 4 figures left. 2 that I'm keeping, and just 2 that for some reason, nobody wants. It's the Hardy Boys tag team. And, there were some figures I just couldn't figure out. It took me too long. I didn't know who they were. I just sold them in lots. If I would have sold them individually, I probably would have got more money. But at that point, I was already over 3 times what I paid for them. And when I sold them as a lot, I got 131 for one, 150 for another one. And they were all female figures. I had no idea who they were. And I didn't want to take the time to research it. But everything sold for money. The belts. I sold one belt for $30. There was 70 title belts. But there was no rhyme or reason. Like sometimes a group of 12 belts would sell for $15 and 5 belts would sell for $40. So
So I think the one thing to take away here, though, Rock, is what you're looking for is you're looking for these deals. You know, you're out there, you're searching
Yeah.
for these kind of deals, and you know, I guess I've never, I guess I've never really done that. I mean, like I said, when I was collecting retail, it was literally me. Instead of just taking pictures at Walmart, I would buy two figures, one to open and one to keep in the box.
Right.
And I was just trying to get the best deal, but most of the time it was retail and then maybe some coupons here and there, you know. And then
Well-
as my collection grew, you know, stuff that I couldn't get anymore, I would go to eBay and pay eBay prices to just fulfill the line.
Well, I also do things too. Like I look at my collection, and I bought a bunch of the Fun School India GI Joe figures, and I was paying $6 each for them back in the day. And then now that I'm into the real vintage figures, if I see one's worth a lot of money that really doesn't fit my collection, I sell it. Like I sold Tripwire for $160 or $180, and I paid $6 for it. You know, I sold Tunnel Rat for $80. I paid $6 for it. But then I take that money and I put it towards buying that vintage figure for it's almost the same price to get the Hasbro one. Who cares about the Fun School India one that came out in 2002? But Joe collectors that are really looking for variants now, they're paying top dollar for these stupid international figures. So I'll use that money to buy, you know, regular Hasbro's, which make me happy. But that's where it kind of like this is. I have big profit margins in what I sell. But
Yeah, the whole flipping thing is like a whole nother thing, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't have the connection to it. Like, I mean, I am still for the most part working on stuff that I bought to either use as trade bait or to probably sell eventually. I bought two to save on shipping or, you know, whatever. So I don't have a lot of connection to it. Swage, why don't you talk about, because you've unloaded your entire collection a couple times, right?
Yeah, I've done that route multiple times,
And
depending on what life was throwing at me.
so these are things you cared about, right? You worked hard, and not that Lotus you didn't work hard, because like you say, you found them in stores or you hunted them, that kind of thing. But Swage, I mean, what about dumping entire collections? How do you go about doing that?
Man, I could do a 6-hour show on this by myself. Well, basically, man, where do I start with this? So we'll take the life happens scenario, and you know, I always have a mental log of pretty much every single thing that I have. You know, I know even if I don't know the exact count, I've got a total value. This year, I've really focused on actually keeping a list, always having a tally of cost versus what I've sold it for or what it might be worth, all those sorts of things. But I've always had that mentally. And so if something would come up, I'm lucky enough that from doing shows and even, you know, podcasting years ago, I know quite a few dealers or people that will buy in bulk that are very, I don't know if generous is the word, but they're very reasonable. So like what Lotus ran into, I was getting, you know, a little bit better margins. And part of that is a friendly factor, but also whenever I've done it, I've had a lot of things that were currently really hot. So like Lotus, you know, you have Generations, which is, you know, anything from 2010 is probably not worth much, right?
Yeah, it's only worth someone who wanted the mint and sealed package. I mean, once you open those figures, I agree. But if someone's trying to fulfill their mint and sealed collection, like I said, I looked up the completed auctions for those, and they were all, you know, minimum $30 shipped for each of those figures.
Right. So, and part of that is, and also being a seller, you know, I always go into it knowing exactly how it's going to work from experience and from what I know I try to do for people versus what is probably going to happen with the money. So, for example, you know, as you went in there, you're like, well, they sell for 30 to 50, but you also know on eBay $30 is about 12. because after you pay your PayPal fees, your eBay fees, and shipping, you know, depending on where they live in the country and how big that box is, you know, you could be looking at less than half your money on something that size.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
but
that's
basically
very
what I
true.
do is I get a list together. And because I typically know the values of everything I have already anyway, I have a general idea. And then in my head, I always calculate what I assume might be their buying range. So a lot of dealers I've dealt with, even if I haven't sold to them, I get an idea while I'm at shows. I listen to them conversate because people will come to toy shows and they'll try to trade you stuff or they'll try to sell you a bunch of stuff. And I always found that I was way more generous than a lot of people. So, for example, one time I had bought an Encore Fort Max from a guy, and I gave him 150, and I didn't even bother looking, you know, to make sure all the stuff was there because I wasn't that familiar with the figure yet. But I knew if there was something wrong, I could keep it anyway. Like it could be mine, and I knew it was about a $300 toy at the time. But most dealers are, like you said, they're typically going to be 30%, if not less, and it depends on what you have and the total value. So I find the bigger the collection, the less you're actually going to get by the piece. Now, maybe that's changed, and it also, again, it depends on exactly what you have and the dealer, because if they know they can flip it fast for 2 or 3 times their money, they might be a little more lenient. But typically, they have to keep their cost as low as possible for a number of reasons. And while that's not your fault, if you take it to them, they, you know, still money's money, and that's always in their head. So, for example, if you're self-employed, you can basically count on 40% of your money disappearing to taxes right off the bat every day of the week. And that's, of course, that's before you do the accounting and you do the deductions, but still 40%. So if you make $1,000, you're only getting 600 really after you pay Uncle Sam. So there's that. Then there's what if the market drops out? You know, and then it depends on what region are they in, what shows are coming up. Do they have a customer base that's open to whatever it is that you have for this dealer? So, for example, if you go to a comic shop, you know, like a little, like Jason was saying, these comic shops, they don't really have good toys. You take them a bunch of great shit, they don't care. To them, it's just another thing you know, well, I'll put $50 and if I get 10, I'm happy. So they're going to give you like $2. So that's a huge factor as well. But yeah, for me, it's been easier because whenever I've had to do that, it's been, I need this money now. And already in my head, I had a very accurate range of what to expect. And also because I've built relationships, or I just knew how these people operated, you know, I maybe got a little friendly bump, but it wasn't anything like, you know, I got $2,000 and my collection was worth 2,200. You know, it's nothing like that.
So what would you have gotten? So if you would have, okay, so let's say, you know, do you feel that $10 a figure is basically what a dealer would pay in my situation?
That sounds about right in general, but without seeing it and seeing the specifics, you know, I can't tell. It's like saying, well, I have a 1983 Corvette. What's it worth? You know?
No, I mean, like I said, I mean, I told you straight out, you know, 2010, 2015 Chug, you know, factory sealed, you know, perfect mint on card figures, no corner crushes, no scratches anywhere, you know, and they I don't even know if they even care about it, honestly, because they're just going to hang the stuff on the pegs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that does sound right, just because, you know, that classics line, it was the hottest thing in the world, and then it was damn near worthless.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember very specifically, I had 2 big boxes full of sealed carded, and these were figures that used to be worth 40 to 60 any day of the week.
Oh no, I paid those prices.
And I would take them to shows, and I would put them for $10 a piece, and no one even looked at them.
Yeah.
And these are at big shows. I'm talking like TFCon, the Columbus Toy Show, you know, where there's thousands of people coming in, and no one even blinked. No one. There was just like, get that shit out of my way. What's behind that? So I
Yeah.
mean, you know, and the other thing too is when you're talking about the stuff that you had that was in pristine condition, that's such a very, very specific and picky group.
Yep.
That the person looking for that dead ass mint toy will spend years comparing your copy to another one. And they'll look for a better deal, and they'll wait and wait and wait. And that's another chance that a dealer takes, that, you know, that's some of the cost that comes out of what they hand you, because they don't have time to wait 3 years for that guy to make up his mind. And maybe there's only 4 people in the world looking for one in that condition. You know, everyone else just wants a loose one, or they don't care about the box, or,
Yeah.
you know, well, if everything else is $20 cheaper, to hell with that thing. So, you know, it's, for me, selling in a giant bulk like that, I've done okay. Like, I mean, you know, the last big giant purge that I did, I probably left, well, this kind of gets into that. There's very particular buyers for certain things. I probably left maybe 5 or 6 grand on the table, but we're talking some of that stuff is so specific that, I mean, who knows? Maybe who I sold it to, that maybe they got an extra 5 grand out of those that I didn't know about, because they have more clientele, they have a bigger reach than I do. But at the same time, you know what I mean? How long are they going to wait for that one person that'll pay $150 for something you can find for 40? You know, so it's, I've done okay. I mean, obviously I'd rather have that $5,000, but I didn't have a year or two to keep sitting on it when I had things at home that needed to be paid for right away.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you 1%. I think I would have been able to do. I even though you average about 14% with your PayPal fee and your 10% auction fee, and then shipping. You can ship a figure for first class for $6. For under a pound. So I mean, but yeah,
But who,
you gotta.
stores are like, then I got to get the materials. I got to have somebody that knows how to do all this shit online. And I mean, it's not, I mean, materials are, that's a tax write-off for a corporation or a business, or even if you're self-employed, but it's still a hassle. It's still something that needs to be done and paid for before you get that deduction back. So it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of like,
Yep.
if you want somebody to help you pour gravel or concrete in your driveway, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to tell them, well, all you really had to do is spend $4 in gas to get here, so I'm not going to pay you.
Yeah, for shipping materials, I mean, I'm kind of just like, I've saved, like every time I would buy something, from someone, I would always save, as much of the bubble wrap and boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I would try to do that, for the non-priority mail boxes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that definitely has helped out. Plus, there's nothing wrong with taking a bunch of Walmart shopping bags, and as long as you have cushion, and you know how to pack the box, and you're using the Walmart bags to be a springy plush cushion, you just use a nice single wrap of bubble wrap on the figure, and then use the Walmart bags as your cushion. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, when you're selling as an individual, that's perfectly fine.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. If a business, you can't.
If I got some shit like that from a store, I'd be like, hold up, dude.
I was going to say, Swage, yours is going to have some grocery bag cushions in the package I just sent you.
Whatever works.
But everything is wrapped in bubble wrap inside those.
It works. I don't even care.
Or just
about
be
that.
like Walmart. Just be like Walmart and say, fuck it. We're just going to fold this thing in half, stick it in a box that's half the size it should be, and send it off to you.
Or how do you like those Amazons?
Put that in your pipe.
How you like the
smoke.
Amazon exclusives where they just put the label right on the figure? It's like slap.
Oh.
Well, the one thing that's impressed me lately that I haven't been able to bring up, or not haven't been able to, I just keep forgetting to, is Pulse has gotten really interesting with the way they ship single carded figures. They have instituted, because I've received 3 now that are like this, so it's not just one smart guy's decision. They are putting the card under the flaps. So the figure is, so, you picture how a box comes together. The figure is actually under the flaps of the bottom of it. And now again, it takes one hard hit from underneath and it's fucked. But the 3 that I've received like that, fucking pristine, flat cards, bubbles in perfect shape.
Yeah. Well, that's the strongest point of a box is right in those corners. But that's weird because what if they stick it in and then they tape right on the edge and you peel the tape off and it shreds all the cardboard off the card?
Yeah, like I say, I mean, I've been impressed with it so far. Not to say it doesn't have its downfalls, but
I'll just tell you, if you're gonna sell shit, don't do that. Fuck carded figures. I hate carded figures to shit. You always got to add an extra 2 inches to prevent that kind of shit. Don't do that. Don't do that.
See, that's what I look to buy. Like even if I'm going to open something, I would rather spend $10 more to have it in package, just so I get that experience of opening it.
Yeah. The problem is when I strip a carded figure, I take a piece of cardboard and I cut it specifically an inch longer than the card, so that when I bubble wrap it, the bubble wrap doesn't stress folding over and start curving the card. But that's just me. Which costs me more because it's more weight and it's more time. But I hate carded figures because I'm always scared that one little bump is gonna just completely dent the whole card and somebody's gonna be pissed.
Well, and one of the things I heard from a buyer once was, if I buy more stuff from you, please don't wrap it in bubble wrap, because what that does is dent the cardboard. And I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, they're saying when you press it, and again, this another thing, when you're shipping something, you don't want it to jiggle around loose, but you don't. My fucking discount comic book service ships my shit in stuff that is so packed tight. It crushes boxes. And like, I get it with your comics, you don't want your comics to move 1 fucking millimeter, but when you're shipping boxed and carded toys and making it so tight that it's fucking bulbousing, that's also not something you want to do.
That's not even a fine line either. Like, you have to try to compact bubble wrap that hard where it's damaging windows and stuff like that.
And I just don't get it. Like, I got shit right here, like, that I got today that was that way. So, but Cliff, we haven't heard from you. We know you're not a prolific seller by any means, but
I'm not a seller at all. I've never sold anything.
Just get the hell out. Get out.
Never once.
No.
Wow. See, that's amazing. So how do you, now you've talked about tons of shit just gets bought, looked at, opened, put into a box, and then stored. But so, I mean, you've been collecting for years. I mean, you've been listening to our show since I can remember. I mean, fucking, so what do you do with all it? You just pack all that stuff away? You haven't sold any of it? Do you get
Why are you even here?
Well, right now it gets packed. It gets cataloged and packed away because I don't have anywhere to display it.
Okay.
So, but you saw pictures, my old place. Everything, every square inch of that place was shelving and display.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are eventually there's going to be stuff I sell. Like I know eventually I'm going to get rid of those Cartoon Network Thundercats, those 4-inch figures. Eventually. Keep in mind also, as long as I've been collecting, I have a niece and two nieces and a nephew, and I also have friends who have kids. I was
say you're also one of the most generous people I know as well.
Yeah, like so the kids around, my friends' kids, my nieces, my nephews, they all get shit when I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm like, here, Gavin, here's an action figure. And he's like, oh my god, this is amazing. So
you're like,
because
I'm done playing with this. Here, you play with it now.
Yeah, or I don't have this doesn't go with my display. So here you go. Because I've never collected for value. I collect out of nostalgia and what just looks cool. So I've never bought anything with the intention of holding it to sell it.
See, and that's I can't make
Awkward
that
silence.
claim. So sorry. Lotus, Rock, Swage, are you guys all eBay then? No Facebook Market, no Instagram. Lotus, why don't you go first?
I mean, if I ever do, yeah, I mean, eBay would be the only outlet at this point. I just feel eBay with the global shipping program, it reaches the world. You do get people from China that have the third-party shipping services, so they have a U.S. address, so that can get a little bit sticky. Yeah, I mean, yeah, eBay would be it. I don't like the idea of the whole Facebook Marketplace thing or Craigslist or any of that other stuff. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, I had somebody post something just because we live only a few blocks from a police station and a fire station for that matter. So we have this benefit of this. But yeah, somebody suggested a really good thing for selling in person is always meet them in the parking lot of a police station.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to do that though. I mean, unless you're, I don't know. I don't think that.
It's just one of those things. Again, for me, it's 3 blocks difference. If you had to drive 2 miles to get to your police station, maybe that's not a great idea. But
do you remember when Target was giving away the humongous Porg, one per Target store?
mm-hmm.
I found a lady selling one for $100, and I asked where she wanted to meet. She wanted to meet at the mall, but the mall had a police substation. I bought it from her for $100. I literally flipped it in a couple hours for $350 in one of the Star Wars groups.
I was going to say those porgs were insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they go for now, but that thing, I seatbelted it in my car. It was so big. It was massive. But yeah, I've done that before. I'm at the police station. But it is weird when you're at a 7-Eleven doing a toy deal and people think it's a drug deal.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I've had happen numerous times where I bought like a Darth Vader case of loose figures for like $100, and people start giving you that look like, what's going on over there? You know, 2 cars pull up. Hey, are you so-and-so? Yeah. I flip the cash, buy it, and take off.
Yeah, I have that same experience when I was selling my Hot Toys figures. Now back in the day, like eBay wasn't as sophisticated, so you know you could basically have someone that was interested and you could send your phone number, you know, you can message them and do an outside deal kind of a thing, you know. Now you know, it's pretty much locked down, so you can't do any of that anymore. But yeah, there was times that, you know, through eBay, I would, I'd meet someone and then, you know, sometimes it was late at night, you know, because the, you know, just from whatever, you know, my schedule or their schedule. And yeah, I'd meet someone at like a McDonald's, you know, at 11 o'clock at night, you know, open up the trunk and have Hot Toys figures in there. I still have my gloves, guys. I swear to God, I had a box of gloves with me because my whole deal was I'm not touching these, and you know, so I'd put on the gloves and, you know, take out the figure. And
man, imagine meeting a stranger in a parking lot and they wear gloves.
Yep.
It takes all the fun out of it.
Oh yeah. No. So, but yeah, no, I've had those experiences as well. So,
and Rock, I know you buy a lot of things off of different marketplaces and shit, but when you sell, is it almost entirely eBay?
It depends. It's mostly, I'd say 75% eBay, maybe 20% or 15% Facebook, and 10% like Let Go or OfferUp. Like right now, I have a bunch of things on Let Go and OfferUp that I don't feel like shipping. I'm selling all my 6-foot animatronic Halloween props, and to ship them priority mail, there could be $150, and I don't know if it's going to go to California or New Jersey. So I'll sell them a little bit cheaper. I'll sell them. People come to my house, I have no problem. Like I sold a 6-foot Jason this weekend because, you know, it's selling the house and all. I'm trying to downsize some of my shit that I'm not displaying anymore. But yeah, I mean, Facebook works. I've not been burned on Facebook with selling, and I've gotten a lot of good deals on Facebook. OfferUp, I feel like you get the dregs of society that just like it's an instant low ball. I mean, I do find some good deals on there, but I find people will renege on the deal if somebody offers more money. It's kind of hit and miss, but yeah, eBay is pretty much the way to go for me.
I mean, I don't think we've really discussed it, but PayPal having their the funds for up to 6 months, kind of sucks, when you're selling, and that's another reason why I took all these figures to the comic shop. Is I just didn't want the hassle of the time it was going to take me to sell all those figures, and locking up that money for 6 months. Do you guys and I know we laugh about the free money, this and that, but do you guys ever feel weird about transferring that money out of the PayPal account, or do you leave it in there? Or I mean, because
I just want to know who took your money for 6 months. I've never heard of that.
it's 180 days that someone can
Do a
Right,
chargeback
charge
claim.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember, hell, that came out when I was on TFYLP fucking 80 years ago. But they don't actually hold your funds.
No, they don't hold it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if someone wants to be a jerk, they can open up a case,
Yeah, they can, but after, I mean, hell, of course, I rarely ever get cases, but the 6 month thing is generally like, that's really only going to apply to certain things. And I think it was put more in place for long shipping times for international stuff, because when they first rolled that out, they didn't have global shipping yet. So a 3 month wait on a product overseas was kind of typical.
No.
So I think it's more for stuff like that. Now, technically, yeah, they could open a case, but at the same time, if you're listing correctly, and so like for me, like I don't accept returns. Just flat out, I don't give a shit. I will not accept a return of any kind unless it's my fault. But I don't tell them that. I just put no returns. Because obviously, if I screw up, I'm not going to just, leave somebody twiddling their thumb up their ass with the wrong toy. But, most of what I sell is sealed now. So once they open it, they can't return it anyway. So there's no point even offering it. And this doesn't, the 6 month thing doesn't really apply to stuff like this, because it's not a working product that would like have a lifespan per se. It's not like a vacuum or an air
I know,
compressor.
but we're all just talking to these customer service reps, and with eBay and PayPal split apart now, you don't have that, that extra benefit. When eBay and PayPal were one company, you had a little bit of a benefit there that if someone left you positive feedback, you'd be okay, on the PayPal side. Now if someone leaves you positive feedback, technically, if they want to, they can still open up a case on the PayPal side.
Yeah, but they will still use that against the buyer. I actually ran into that because a guy tried to open a case after he canceled an order, and then I blocked him, and then he used another account, and I had to block that because he was first. It was, I don't know if it was a kid or something, but it was this little mix-up shit. But I just kept blocking every account, and he tried to leave me like a negative feedback and open some sort of case. And first thing I did, I messaged him, and I just said, "Here's this and this. It's the same person," and he left positive feedback for something that he asked me to cancel. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, if you left positive feedback, then you can't say anything bad about it." And they immediately closed everything. So, I mean, now that's not always typical, but they still do some things in favor of the buyer. But it's almost like, it's weird, because this is one of the things I hate about eBay, is it's almost like you have to trick your buyer or hope they fuck up so that you're okay. You know what I mean? Like, if they accidentally leave feedback before you even ship, that can technically fuck a buyer. Like, if you try to open a case later, eBay will be like, "Well, you said everything was cool, so I'm not taking 10 minutes to fix it for you," because then everybody's pissed off. Whereas if they wait, and then a week after they buy it, then they want to say something, then it's almost automatically against the seller. So, It's a weird spot.
Let's talk about that. When you sell something and you ship the item, do you leave feedback right away for the buyer, or do you wait for them to leave you feedback?
You know, I used to do it like right after I got paid. But feedback I found the past 2 years is very rare that I receive it.
Yeah.
And what I think is really
Yeah.
funny is the stuff that I sell for the really good pricing. Because I basically operate one of two ways. I either have the cheapest you can find anywhere, or no one in the world has it, and I want as much money as possible. And I have no shame in that, which is why I don't get along with Facebook groups. I mean, and I'm not kidding. Like, I can offer. I mean, just this past year, I was offering a certain toy for less than $350 on TFW, on Instagram, in Facebook, and everyone got pissed off. I sold 3 of them for $500 fucking dollars on eBay, and using the promotions, I barely lost 10% of the listing. So I still made an extra $100 by not making other people happy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I operate with that shit. Because I'm like, if I have something no one else can offer, I'm not trying to make friends with people. Like, I'm trying to pay my bills and I'm trying to buy more shit. And I don't understand like why people get so pissed off about that, because you know, it's not like I bought an entire company and then raised the price of all their products overnight. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between getting lucky and actually clearing out someone's inventory and scalping the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
So I always have to walk the line. And the funny thing is, though, what I was getting at is that on the expensive shit that I'm thinking, oh my God, they're never going to give you feedback because they had to pay so much money, they give me feedback every damn time. But the people that got a $50 toy for $35, they don't say a damn thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Feedback's weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. Brink just chimed in and says that he leaves feedback. You know, after he opens, you know, the toy arrives and he opens it.
That's
so-
because Brink is the shit, and Brink
Well-
knows how shit works.
No, I think, but I think it's a very honest and good way to do it. I do agree that feedback is not as prevalent as it used to be back in the day. So I don't know what changed, if people just don't care about it, or if
No,
it's
because it
not
doesn't change
something-
anything. And I know
Right.
a lot of sellers, they don't leave it because you can't leave anything negative. You could
Yeah.
have the worst buyer in the world, and if you say one little thing, it's like they wipe it out anyway.
Yeah.
But then, you know, most sellers are like, well, if you're not going to give me feedback, I'm not going to give you feedback. So
That's,
for me,
that's a good point. Why is it if a buyer does not pay, you cannot leave them negative feedback?
yeah,
Well,
and those strikes don't do shit either, because you report them. You don't know if they actually got a strike for it. You don't know if they get banned. You don't know anything. You just sit there with your listing fee that you have to wait for a refund for.
Well, I mean, so let's do that. So we can get back to the eBay once they eliminated the sellers being able to leave negative feedback, because it used to be that it would just be like this showdown, right? Like, you wouldn't leave them feedback before they left you feedback, because what if they left you negative feedback and you would then not be able, you know, it's one of those things. But I mean, so everybody complains about how, you know, it's common knowledge, call it evil bay and that kind of stuff. But let's just do a quick questionnaire across the board. Lotus, percentage of cases compared to what you've sold on eBay. Is that 1%? Is it 0.05%? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would say probably in the 1 percentile, but I've sold a lot, you know.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what I want to know. Cliff, you don't get to answer.
But
Rock.
I'm spending I'm spending an average of, I'm probably spending an average of 15 to 20 minutes to set up an auction. Like, I'm taking very
Oh,
high quality photos against a nice backdrop, you know, with good lighting. Like, I'm really putting a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, compared to somebody taking a cell phone pic and saying shipping is priority. as the description.
I sold some Bionic 6 figures, and I clearly had pictures of the cards being all warped, water damaged. One of the cards had staples in it. I listed it in the listing that the cards were all damaged, figures were sealed, but cards were all damaged, and eBay still sided with the buyer. That they complained that the cards didn't look the way they did in the picture, and they were worse than the picture or whatever. And when I asked for pictures,
Fucking carded figures.
when I asked for pictures from the buyer to show me what he means, the buyer wouldn't send me any of that information.
Yeah, of course.
So in summary, I ended up having to give him money back in order to prevent negative feedback.
All right, let me ask you this: how much were those items each?
That whole set, I think, was $400. It was the Bionic 6 diecast figures from 1984, 86.
Because I've noticed most of the time when I hear people talk about issues like this, it's always with cheap stuff. And
No,
I was just curious because, like I said,
you
a lot of times.
You guys remember the Bionic 6, right? Those diecast figures?
Yeah, from
I
Galoob.
don't.
Yeah. You guys don't
Yeah, it's
remember them?
Rock and I don't.
No.
Really?
they're
You
super
never watched the
colorful.
Bionic 6 cartoon?
Here, let's see if we can
Are
get
you
some.
sure you've never seen it? It had that big ape. They were half machine, and
This sounds like
Oh,
an Adam
okay.
Sandler movie.
Yes, they do look familiar now that I'm looking them up here. Let me share the screen here, and for a second it won't have anything, but give me a
they
second.
were real colorful, blues and yellows and stuff like that. But they all had like a translucent, the figures were all die cast, and they had like a translucent arm. Whatever part was bionic was like translucent.
What's translucent? Easy. So, Rock,
LGN, I misspoke.
what?
Oh, sorry, Slick. I said LJN. I misspoke. I was probably thinking Defenders of the Earth when I said Galoob. That's all.
Hey, Galoob found it. Okay, Rock. So you're prolific on eBay. How many cases, a percentage, do you think?
I mean, in the last, like this year alone, I have like 350 feedback, but I probably have 500 transactions. I had one case open, but it didn't even go to a case. I mean, I had a vintage Star Wars figure, Return of the Jedi, that the bubble was like super dark yellow, and it was just itching to crack. And I shipped it, no matter how well I shipped it, and the figure went through the bubble. The guy wasn't that bad with it. I think I gave him back $20 out of $100 because he still could display, like the head popped through it. The guy didn't really beat me up too bad, but that was the only real issue I had. But it wasn't really a big deal to me. I figured, it's price of doing business. But getting back to the feedback thing, I do not leave a buyer positive feedback until they leave me feedback. I refuse to. That's just the way I am. I just refuse to do it.
Interesting.
Unless they have, I have one. I should adjust that. I have a rule. Unless they have less than 10 feedback, I'll give them feedback first, just so it paid instantly, just where they can build up their feedback.
Yeah, I tend to leave lower feedback people feedback, when they buy something right away. Again, like you say, there's nothing you can do, even if they're going to leave you negative feedback. The feedback for the buyer is, like, oh yeah, it paid quickly. That's all that really matters.
Do you guys still sell to people who have a brand new eBay account? With like a 1 or a 0?
All the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are the best ones because they don't talk to you. They don't ask questions. They just buy that shit and they're gone. You never see them again. They're the best ones.
Yeah, I tend. Yeah, you make a great point, Swage. Those are the people that will buy it now when you have a best offer and they don't even try to send you an offer. They just click buy it now. It's the best thing
Yeah.
ever.
I always feel weird about it. I just because like you said, they click buy it now or whatever, and then they pay, and you're like, okay, what's the scam? What's the scam here?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because they get a weird rep, but I think it's because in auctions I would find them problematic, but I don't do auctions. I've done 2 auctions in 10 years on eBay.
Yeah,
because
I don't do auctions.
99% of bullshit is usually because of an auction. I would never take a bid from someone. Now, if they want to buy my shit, oh hell yeah, I don't care. Anybody that wants to pay me for my stuff, that's cool. And actually, I wanted to jump in on the leaving the feedback part before we get lost on that one. Personally, it depends on my item if I leave it first, or like typically what I do is when I ship out, because I usually ship really fast, I'll send them a message with a picture of the receipt and say, hey, USPS has this. Just wait for the website to load. But yeah, you're taken care of. I got it shipped in 45 minutes or whatever the hell. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you need anything else. And if they send me a message back, it's usually, which this may be 50-50. I'll leave them feedback then, because I know that they're probably going to leave feedback or they're not going to be a dickhead. So like, I know if they're like, oh, wow, thanks, or wow, that was really fast, or anything even remotely human, I'm like, cool, this dude's all right. I'll give him some feedback. But if it's something like $20 and they don't say anything back when I send them the original message, I'll wait till they get it, and then if they don't give me feedback, then I'm like, all right, you don't get my 3 seconds of effort.
Hold on, Cliff, 1 second. Rock, what's your feedback percentage?
100% positive.
Nice.
I have one neutral on my account, and that's because of my wife. She had wait to hear what happened, because I don't want to use a derogatory term, but I'm a gypsy when it comes to certain things. I don't like throwing things out, not getting money. My wife has designer eyeglasses. They're Coach, like the people that make the handbags. They're $300 frames. So she got a new prescription. Her eyes get worse every 2 years or whatever. She had 2 pairs of these frames she was going to throw out. I said, wait, don't throw it out. I'll put it on eBay. I'll get you some money for it. I put it on eBay. I get $30 for two really nice frames. I ship them to somebody in Brooklyn, and the person leaves me negative feedback. It says, listed as adult-sized frames. These wouldn't fit a kid. I was like, fuck you! My wife's been wearing these the last 2 years. And I was like, for $30 fucking frames, I get a neutral feedback. Cocksucker. Because it probably went to some hipster in Brooklyn. And I wrote, like, maybe you can pop out the lenses, because I didn't have my wife's prescription. I don't wear glasses. I just figure you pop out the lens, you bring it to your eye doctor, they slap some new lenses in, and you got these designer eyeglasses on the cheap. That's what I get for trying to make my wife some money. But check out my eBay user ID is RockDM. You can see 100% positive feedback. I have some straight arm GI Joes on there right now. Really nice, lowest price on eBay. I have a gun straight on for $2.99, and I have a short fuse for $1.99. You cannot beat these prices because my prices are insane.
Rock's worse than me.
You guys remember Crazy Eddie?
No, we don't have a Crazy Eddie.
Short story, Crazy Eddie was this Jewish guy in New York City. He used to have these crazy ads, and he'd be like, my prices are insane. And what happened was he opened up these electronics franchises all over the 5 boroughs, New Jersey. And then he went public. He got all this money for his stock. He loaded up his warehouses with all his equipment, then went bankrupt, sold everything for cash out the back door, and then fled to Israel.
Wow.
So if you Google Crazy Eddie, it'll tell you the whole stock fraud and growing up in New York City was pretty. Everybody knows Crazy Eddie.
If that isn't the fucking American dream nowadays, shit.
We're selling. We're talking about selling. He was selling.
Cash.
All right, Cliff.
Insane.
Cliff, you wouldn't have had a case lodged against you, but I assume you're a prolific eBay buyer, right? Because you
Yes.
start watching a vintage show, and then next thing I see, you have the entire vintage carded collection that you then open and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, how many times have you had to open cases against sellers?
I think twice.
Wow.
Most of my issues have been something comes broken or like the bubble shattered. Like I get something mint on card and it shows up with a bubble shatter. Most of the times I just reach out to the guy. I'm like, hey, this came broken. And then we usually just work it out. Like I got a Kiss figure once, Gene Simmons, and he came with his arms literally off, just rattling around in the card.
Was it the reaction figure?
No, it was the first McFarlane series where each figure came with the letter K, with the letter of Kiss. So the guy's like, I'll just refund you, but I don't want it if it's broken. Just keep it. So I ended up just opening it and just gluing the arms in, so it looked like he was playing the bass. But the only two cases I ever had to open were things I bought, buy it now, that just never showed up and no communication. So I just opened cases and I got refunds.
Yeah. And I got to say, as far as I can remember, I've opened a good share of cases, but most of them have been China sellers, which, you never know if it got lost in the mail or if they were just, like somebody mentioned they left a case again. Oh, it was Brian. It was Brinkalizer that said he had to leave a case against somebody, but when you went to their feedback, all of it was negative for the last month. It was like fraud seller, wrong item, never received item. And,
yeah, they just cashed out.
Yeah, exactly, Lotus. So that's I've made a practice of like gauging, like, okay, this guy looks like he's going to cash out, and luckily, because eBay fucking protects all those purchases. Again, I think it's kind of like the shoplifting thing, where me making a poor decision ordering from some guy that's going to cash out in China affects all of us, right? Like we're all paying higher rates and fees and stuff like that because I choose to do that. I'm like, fuck it. If I don't get it, I get my money back. So of course I'm going to order the $16 Legends figure instead of the $30 one from the reputable seller.
Yeah, but it wasn't always like that. Remember, before the buyer protection.
No, I know. Yeah.
But when buyer protection went into place, that's when everyone just started saying, hey, well, I'm protected. Who cares?
Well, and I love that they still think they can get away. You see so many fucking things where I ordered a figure and I got, a cell phone case, so they have the tracking to say you got a package, and then they make you have to jump through the hoops to prove, I got a package, but it was fucking a cell phone case instead of a knockoff masterpiece figure or whatever.
I'm sorry. On that end, I've seen ones on the high-end Star Wars figures where people have bought $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 figures, and like they're graded figures or whatever it is. They get it, then they open up a claim saying item is damaged. eBay tells them send it back. They send back just a whatever fucking Tower Force figure, and then they just good luck getting these people. I've seen it so many times when I was trying to get the last few mint on card figures. I saw so many people in the groups talking about these stories where they just got blatantly robbed.
So yeah, there's also some scams going on in the statue community right now. So Prime One Studios obviously is well known. They're a producer of high end statues in Japan. Usually all their statues are $1,000 plus. So what a scam is now is people are selling their damaged statues, and they're basically opening up a claim with Prime One. Prime One replaces the parts that are damaged, and the reason why the seller has a damaged statue is because it did arrive damaged, but they already replaced the parts, and they sent pictures back saying that, you know, they've destroyed the parts, you know, kind of thing. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, they basically did a Photoshop, and, you know, so now they take these parts, they sell them to the next person open up the claim with Prime One, and then they you know, basically get replacement parts for Prime One, when in reality it's just a constant loop of, you know, replacement parts, you know. And it's just a shame, because like, you just don't realize that this all costs, and it costs us as hobbyists extra money, because that Prime One is losing money on constantly replacing these parts. And, you know, it's if you're a consumer and you take advantage of those companies, eventually the prices are going to go up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Walmart forever is fucking had things like fucking how much shoplifting costs people that don't do it and that kind of shit. So we've kind of targeted in on eBay just because that's what a lot of us tend to do. But experience with other marketplaces.
So Shane mentioned Mercari.
Yeah, Mercari.
So I've never done Mercari, but I have a friend who did Mercari, and the idea with Mercari is you pay a 10% fee. When the person receives it, so you don't get paid until they leave feedback. So you ship the item, the money gets held in your Mercari account, and then the buyer is supposed to leave feedback as soon as they get it. And Mercari will kind of send them, you know, multiple emails saying, hey, you need to leave feedback, blah, blah. And then Mercari releases the money. The problem with Mercari is also it's not cash. It's kind of like it's credit in your Mercari account. And then if you want to export the money, you have to pay a fee to export it. There's no free transfer out of Mercari. So they really want you to keep on spending the money in Mercari Marketplace. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good way of doing things for the seller side. Etsy is another place where a lot of people are selling now. So I haven't tried Etsy, but that's another place to sell.
Anybody done any of the social marketplaces? I mean, we talked a little bit about Facebook and buying from there. Anybody sold on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, I've had no problem with it.
Okay. And what are you selling? High end? I mean,
are you doing local? But Rock, are you doing actual local pickups, or are you doing shipping?
I do local. I do two different kinds of Facebook. I do local shipping. I do local pickup, and I'm also like a bunch of groups by me, like Suffolk County Buy and Sell, Shirley in the Community, you know, Buy and Sell, the Mauritius Area Yard Sale, and I post things like that. Like I used to play guitar, and I had a car accident. I had 2 carpal tunnel surgeries. I had a bunch of guitar shit in my basement I completely forgot about. I sold a guitar case recently, and, you know, I had people come to the house, even with COVID and all that, you know, being the guy to the fist bump, you know, $50, here's your guitar case, you know, and left, and everything was fine. I mean, I try to sell bulkier shit on there that I don't want to ship on eBay. That's kind of my rule. And I'll sell it a little bit cheaper just to get rid of it, because I know it's a bigger item, it's local, but you know, sometimes comic book lots like that I just aren't going to make any money on eBay. Not a ton of stuff, just like I said, more bigger items.
What about you, Swage?
Hey, before Swage starts, I just want to say, Jason, if you're looking to transport yourself to another area, you need to move a little bit to the right to get into the transporter beam. Does anybody see that? It looks like a train.
Yeah.
The middle line is like a little higher. It looks like the transporter from Star Trek.
What's awful is that's the sun hitting all of my very expensive collectibles.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
for hours.
Maybe you should. Yeah, maybe you should not do that.
And sun fading them at the same time.
Get some shades.
Exactly.
So you gotta get.
It looks like they're burning.
You gotta get blackout curtains like that.
Well, I do have them, and they're just open because there's no light
okay.
in here. But yeah, The sun is hitting my MP Megatron, my MP 44 Optimus Prime,
Jeez.
G1 Trypticon.
It's either that or he's in a J.J. Abrams film.
I learned the hard way. I had a Cobra Commander vintage carded foreign figure, and one day I looked at it, I'm like, what's going on with this? Completely sun faded it.
All right,
It's
sorry
like-
about that, Swage.
Yeah.
Swage is next.
yes. Pardon me. I don't even remember the question now. What the fuck?
Neither do I, but you're next.
selling on Facebook Marketplace, selling on some kind of local. We've got Nextdoor here is very popular in my neighborhood. Rocky talked about OfferUp and Let Go, right?
It's a place for garbage people, really, that want to lowball you. But occasionally you sell something, and occasionally I find something, but more than not, it's garbage people on there.
So, to reiterate his stance on that,
Garbage
Swayze-
people.
Garbage. It's all trash. So basically, the way I've always done it is any platform that I can make money on, I'll try, or I'll at least look into. So like tomorrow, I'm actually driving for a Facebook Marketplace sale, but I don't use it very often because I'm very picky about the platforms, because as much as I hate eBay and PayPal and the potential bullshit I can go through there, the money is always good. So Facebook works every once in a while, but I can list 30 things, and unless it's dirt ass cheap, I don't usually get much interest. I used to always make crazy sales on TFW. Like I actually have just as much feedback on TFW as I do on eBay, but that's really slow. As far as other platforms, though, I don't like the fee structure versus waiting for your money at all. I think once I've put that up and someone commits to paying me, if they made that payment, I want that fucking money right now until you show that I didn't do my job. So that's why, like Mercari or any of these other ones where they hold your money until the buyer does something. No, I've got 10 years of experience with online buyers. And you know what I mean? That's another, even if they say, oh, well, after 72 hours, you automatically get your money if they don't say anything. I don't care. They got their shit fast. I don't want to have to wait because they're like, fuck it, I got it. I don't need to do anything else, because that's how most buyers are. You don't buy from Amazon and then say, well, I better go make sure this is taken care of, and I gave this guy a rating, and then I double check this rate. That's that to me it's just more steps, and that's not what buying is about. Buying is about doing as little as possible to get what you want, and that's great. And as a seller, I respect that, but I don't want added steps to get my money. Like that's just how I am. So I'll never mess with them until they either lower the fees. Now, if it was 5% and they held it for an extra 3 days after delivery, then we might be able to talk. But without having any sort of reach comparable to eBay, who doesn't hold my money, no, it's a non-starter for me. I'll never touch anything. I've tried Craigslist before. I mean, if I ever get replies, it's usually they thought I was selling something else, or it's they just ask some kind of stupid ass question that doesn't make any sense, so I never answer them. But I mean, over 10 years, yeah, I've made a couple sales there, but generally it's almost all eBay, but not by choice. I try Facebook, I've tried groups, I still do TFW every once in a while, but it's generally if I don't think I can get the money I want on eBay, or if it's not practical, like Rock was saying, if it's giant, and if somebody in California is going to eat $35 in shipping money out of my pocket, I'll try it on Facebook, and I'll accommodate the pricing for that, because to me, maybe I can get 150 on eBay. I'll put it for like 100 locally, because I'm like, not only minus the fees and everything, but it's more convenient to just have $100 in my hand instead of 125 online, and then I got to keep track of it. And I got to keep put it in QuickBooks or whatever the hell, keep track of all my online sales. Whereas cash, it's just cash in my pocket. I know exactly where it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cash moves everything around me.
Cream, dollar bill, y'all.
All right, Rock's got to get out of
Thank you,
here. He
Lotus.
hung out for a half an hour later than he could have. So thank you, brother. We appreciate that.
No problem. I could talk selling all night, but I told my wife, we had, plans for tonight, so
Well,
told I wouldn't be on. too
Boo
long.
Rock's
But I'll see
wife.
you guys next week.
Boo!
Yeah, as if she's supposed to be a neutral feedback.
Hey, whenever your car breaks,
Damn it.
do you say it's her fault then too? Like, is she the one that gave
No,
the car
my
a flat
doesn't break
tire?
down. No, I have a new Mercedes. It doesn't break down.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
It breaks. The
That's
bank.
what all them
I got that-
wrestlers bought me is a new car.
that thing goes to the dealership every 10,000 miles for its service for its $600 oil change. So
Oh yeah. That's why it doesn't break down.
no, actually the oil change is 300. 600 is the every other service where they do the oil change, the wipers, the brake fluid, and the filters. That's 600.
Why the fuck are they
Fucking
changing the brake fluid every 10,000 miles?
No, every 20,000.
That's like a twice in the lifetime of a car service. What the hell? Come on, Rock, get it together.
They got me by the short hairs. I want to keep it as certified pre-owned. But
Yeah,
all right, guys,
I
I'll
know
talk to you. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Later, brother.
Peace. Bye.
All right,
Six
Swage.
back oil change. What the- ain't a fucking Lamborghini. What's wrong with that guy?
Well, I think you have to keep in order to keep it qualified as a certified pre-owned, you got to
Yeah.
adhere to their standards. So that way, when you
All
trade
theirs.
it in, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Lotus, how about your experience? Have you done anything social, Instagram, Facebook, groups, message boards, anything like that?
No, like I said, I mean, back in the day, I would do Craigslist, and this is, when Craigslist was semi-normal, and not too crazy. But I would do Craigslist to sell my hot toys. I would do, eBay, and like I said, meet up locally, kind of thing. But no, I really haven't done anything else. I don't, like I said, I don't do anything on Facebook or any of that stuff. So no, pretty basic.
Cliff, you do any buying on those platforms? Instagram. I mean, you're on Instagram a lot. You follow people you buy stuff on there from, or anything?
No, I've never bought anything off Instagram. I do buy some stuff off Etsy from like customizers from England that do like vintage reproduction of Star Wars figures.
Mm. Oh yeah, we talked about those, right?
Yeah, Stan Solo.
Yep. So I guess I'm kind of the OG with this, as much as I don't actually do it, but people have obviously seen I've posted a lot of my stuff on Facebook. I'm in a massive amount of groups because I get invited to groups, and I'm just like, okay, I'll join the group, and then depending on how the posts go, I turn my notifications off to like none unless it's a friend, or only the best posts, all that kind of stuff. But I stay in those groups. So when I post stuff for sale, I've posted stuff to a photo album on my personal site that I make public. And then basically what I do is I have a photo album for each individual brand, because that's the whole thing. A lot of Facebook groups, if you're posting in Masters of the Universe, they don't want you posting Star Wars shit or G.I. Joe shit, even though it might be a good cross sell. You're only supposed to post stuff that is specific to that group. So that's why if you look at my photo albums, you'll see my full sell thread, then you'll see Transformers, Masters, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, and then miscellaneous kind of shit. And that really, so long as what you're selling is in demand. I mean, that's the big thing. Is eBay like you were saying, Lotus, eBay, those generations figures, chugs, will go for that higher dollar amount because that's where a lot of people are looking for those. Transformer groups, no one's collecting chugs anymore. They're collecting Legends or Masterpiece or third party or a combination of all three, that kind of thing. And so my chugs weren't doing anything there. But Legends figures, or when I was selling off some of my vintage shit or some of my club shit, that would move on there. Same thing, G.I. Joe, anything kind of next to modern or anything wasn't really doing well, but anything vintage or, in that sweet spot, 25th anniversary or club stuff, again, a lot of the stuff that I have to sell are things that I bought hedging my bet on, if I buy this to get me free shipping or to reduce my shipping on the one I want to keep, I'll be able to sell this down the road. And so that's worked out really well with club stuff now that the clubs don't exist and, certain exclusives and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's one of those things where Facebook has been amazing. Like I sold these Golios based Knights of the Slice figures that I had on my toy table for 3 years. I'd had on eBay for 3 years and they never sold. I put it in this like specific group that's meant for them, and boom, one day sold them all out. Doubled my money on everything. It was crazy. And I just hadn't ever been involved in that group. And that's what was kind of interesting to me, because I had few people messaging me trying to vet me to see like, why do you have 13 of these figures and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, everyone acts offended that you're going to sell stuff in groups. That's why I can't fucking stand them. But the same people will find anything they can for cheap and then sell it right back out.
Well, yeah, and that's what was interesting. So while I was trying to like prove myself, like why I had so many of these figures, meanwhile, people that didn't give a fuck were just like, I'll take 5. And okay, here you go, 5. And by that time I got to that guy answering him why I had so many, I was sold out. And I'm like, oh, never mind, I'm sold out. He's like, oh, well, I would have bought a bunch. And I'm like, well, you had to prove that I wasn't trying to rip you off, and good on them for doing their due diligence. But that's another thing too, is don't hesitate to jump on a deal. You never know where people are coming from. Don't always think the worst of everybody.
Yeah, I guess. So I want to do the flip side of that. So my latest hobby was statue collecting, right? So I was in all the statue groups. So I was very well versed on exactly what prices were going for. I was in the buy sell groups, as long, even in the collecting groups. I was in both sides of the groups. And I would recognize people, recognize them selling stuff. And then I would see, one person who I thought was a good person say that he got something, basically got scammed, essentially. So I think you have to I think you still have to be careful with the group. So now the statue groups are littered with scams, unfortunately. And the admins try to do the best they can, but people are real scammy in this world today. You could put a nice profile, put up your family pictures, blah, 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 but you really don't know what that person is going through. Maybe they have a horrible thing that's happened in their life and they need money, and statues are an easy way to get a couple grand real easy, So, it's that person that was questioning you. They didn't know you. They saw you probably just popped in the group. That person could have been in that group for a while and was just kind of questioning it. And, I don't want to put the message out there that you should just jump all over a too good to be true deal or a deal that just pops up. I think people do need to be cautious in this day and age, you know. So I don't know. I'm just looking at it from the flip side of things, just because I've seen the beginning of something, of collecting something and having good sales, and then those same people turning into what looks like scam problems, you know. So
No, and I agree. As soon as I was saying that, I was like, oh no, I still vet people that I buy stuff from. Like, I go look at their profile on Facebook, and are they in groups? Are they posting about toys? That kind of stuff. So no, that makes sense. And before we get too far, I feel remiss in that fucking Brian Brink wrote out a very nice email about questions. He also has put some questions in the chat. So let's tackle these real quick. So first up, Rock the Farting Dads.
his pick is so serious. His profile pick is like, he's so serious. Like it's not Rock, you know.
And he said they'll be talking shit about me. So
Right.
there you go, Rock.
Well, he's farting. That's why he looks so
he's constipated
stern.
or something?
Yeah.
He's deciding if he can
Totally
unclench
farting.
or not.
So first
Actually,
up,
no, wait. That's Rock's face when he saw the neutral from his wife. He was just right in front of her.
He's like $30. This is what I get for $30. What are you doing to me?
Oh shit. Wow, my Star Trek disappeared and now you can hardly see me. All right. First up.
You're in witness protection.
Has anyone tried selling on Amazon, Walmart, or Target's websites?
So I'll start here. So
Okay.
I was thinking about doing the Amazon thing, but as I tried messing around with their search engine to see what it would actually, I didn't actually list anything, but I just kind of would do a search for a certain product or whatever. I don't like their search engine. Their search engine prioritizes different, like the third party stuff is way down in the listing,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's a prevalent platform. Walmart is totally garbage as a third party seller. That's another horrible search engine. And Target, same thing. I mean, I judge everything by search engines. And you talk about, selling stuff in groups and stuff. Like if I'm someone who doesn't know about the groups or where to find the groups, you have to search for a group, then you have to join the group, and then listen, eBay, you just type whatever you want. It's an excellent search engine. Anything you want in the world, you just type and it's there at your fingertips. It's a decision of either click and buy it now, send in an offer, and it's at your doorstep. So
Now, to counter that, I will say it's changed recently, because if you type in Transformers and then put a space and then say you put Optimus, and you'll get your listings that way, when you do the search. But if you put in Transformers and then Optimus without the S, it will look entirely different. It's like it doesn't connect. Like I don't know how to describe what I'm saying.
No,
but
I've typed in.
You know what I'm saying? Like it
Transformers.
should essentially be 98% to what it says for Optimus. But if you don't type it in exact, you can get a completely different bunch of stuff. And then later on, like if it's a big list, later on you'll start finding more that it kind of connects to it, but it's not quite the same. And it used to not be like that. It used to just be like a straight up, if it included that second word.
It's because of eBay wanting to have all of these item specifics. So like when I do my auctions, that's another thing, is I try to fill out as much of that item specific information as possible. The gears, the type, the class of the figure, all of that. I've tried to fill in as much as I can specifically of what I'm selling. And I really feel that does help hit more of their search algorithm.
Yeah. That definitely helps. That'll get you filling out as much as you can with that. Will get you right up there with like sponsored listings. Like
Yep,
you might
and
be
you don't
one
have to pay
spot
for it.
behind.
Yep.
You don't have to pay for anything because they do keep that very simple. Like
Yeah.
if you put Red Optimus Prime 1986 as your title, you know, if there's 500 of them and they say Red Optimus Prime and that's it, like yours does boom right up at the top. Or, you know, I can't just keep giving exact specifics, but
Right.
yeah, they definitely make it that if you list correctly and you give information, they reward you with putting you up at the top unless, you know, someone changes the sort function on there.
Yeah, I agree. I do it to a certain extent, not literally as much as I possibly can, but to, and that's where Rock's plan of sell a similar item, because if they've chosen all those things, when you copy that listing, it'll bring that over with it. I've looked into the Walmart, Target, and Amazon programs. Their fees are just through the roof. They're like 20 to 25%. Now again,
Amazon's way higher than that. From what I saw, it was over 30% of your sales, and then you had to pay a monthly fee on top of that.
Yeah,
And then they only allowed you to charge a specific amount for shipping, and then maxed out at like $8. So if you had to ship something for 12 or 18, they were only going to give you 8.
40.
So then they cost you even more money.
Yeah,
I was like, nah. And so like I actually know a couple people that have done that and have been really successful, but it's things that they are able to acquire or make for pennies on the dollar, and they can sell for 30, 40 bucks a piece. They make crazy ass money. But to me, I'm still like, you're throwing away 20 bucks out of a $40 sale.
So when you see a Mega Supreme on there, the fucking Earthrise one for $300, it almost makes sense. You know, they're paying fucking tons of fees on there.
And they're probably just barely getting their fucking money back.
Yeah.
Vintage toys in Amazon are a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're ridiculous.
And not only that, but if you try to sell used stuff on Amazon, their structure penalizes you because you can't sell a used item on there without basically going against what they require you to do as a seller. You have to have stock. You have to have stock photos. You have to have specific backgrounds. All of these things in order for them just to not bury you 5,000 pages later.
Yeah. He says eBay has they do have an affiliate program. You cannot, you can market your own listings, but you can't buy them. Like you can, or what am I thinking here?
Yeah, you could never buy your own stuff.
You cannot, well, not buy your own stuff. You can't use your, like I can't use
your website name in the
affiliate. Well, I can't buy stuff from eBay with my affiliate link. So I think that's what I think, you know, he's talking about advertising. You can of course advertise them, and eBay even for a while was like, if you post these social links, you won't pay any seller fees. And they probably figured out that, oh, it's really easy to get around that shit, you know? So, but yeah, I can't use my Amazon or eBay affiliate links for anything I buy. You know, even with Amazon, with being like 0.5%, that would be great, you know, considering how much I buy from Amazon, you know, each year. But
yeah, see, I was reading it more like, I know there's sometimes a gray area. Like you can sell on eBay if you are like an established business and you already have, say, a website. And I know for a while they were taking down people. So like say openyourtoys.com had a store and you were listing stuff in the store and eBay simultaneously. If you put openyourtoys.com in a picture, in the description, or you put a business card in that package and you got reported, they were not allowing that for a long time.
oh,
So
wow.
I'm wondering if that's what they're getting at. And I wonder if they've actually kind of given some leeway on that because they obviously they cater to Hasbro and all these giant companies, and they beg for them to sell on eBay. So that one I don't know about.
Yeah, and I used to in all of my listings, I would say, hey, I'm a collector myself. I want your item to get to you just the way it leaves me. Trust me, I've been doing this podcast about toys for 12 years, and I would always put our link in there and stuff like that, and never had any problem for the longest time. Again, the link just leads to the podcast website. There's nothing for sale on there, but yeah, I'd be curious to see if you could actually post something.
eBay has a lot of cross scripting checking, and they've really locked their website down to the point where you just can't get past any of their validations at this point. I mean, honestly, guys, I used to embed videos into my listing so they could see the figure live, like, well, not live, but in a video. And they shut that down.
Yeah, because they want to charge you to let you do that.
Well, that's the thing. Let's talk about that. The stupid 12 picture limit. That's garbage, guys.
Yeah,
It's
give your buyers as many details as possible, but if you try to show them anything, you're gonna have to pay extra.
as you're typing in the description, it's like, well, now you're talking. Keep going, man. Now you're talking.
Like
You ever
6
see
words.
that?
Yeah, you put in 6 words, and it's like, great. Buyers love details.
Keep going. You're doing great with your description, but we will lock you down to 12 photos, and you can't buy any additional photos. Like, at least back in the day, you used to be able to buy additional photo space, for 10 cents a picture or something. You guys remember that?
They don't have those anymore? I thought
I was going to say
you had to buy a package or something. Like
you can't buy pictures anymore. No, you can't buy.
They're like, Lotus, you've had too many pictures. No more pictures for you.
No, I'm just saying, you want to give your buyers as many opportunities to see what you're selling, and they're restricting you to the stupid 12 pictures now.
So Brian that was just his comments in the chat. Let's see. He also says, in regards to selling, I just have a hard time breaking the seal, so to speak, to start selling my stuff online. Any advice on pulling the trigger to take the plunge and just do it? Let me read the whole thing and we'll go back. So far, I've only sold to my friends online. I know these people, and I'm happy to know that I'm helping out fellow collectors. I very much prefer to go to a toy show and sell in person. I feel the transaction is safer. Also, it's fun. I agree. Here is a big question in regards to safe selling. Let's say you have a valuable portion of your collection, $15K. You find a buyer, whether it be online, in person. What's the safest way to get the money without fear of the transaction being reversed on you in the future? Example, buyer gets their credit card company to reverse the charge. Buyer files a claim on PayPal. There's a couple more questions here. So let's tackle the first one. How do you get started? Like I say, I complained about that. I feel like it takes me 2 or 3 hours just to even get started down the road. It doesn't have to be that way. If you're not trying to get, I'm always trying to get top dollar. It sounds like, Lotus, so are you. You're trying to get top dollar on what you can. To post on eBay, all you have to do is take a picture of something and write a quick description.
Now, before you get too far with that, you have to be very careful how you word things, and you really have to make sure you pay attention to what you're selecting in the listing, because there are a lot of traps, and eBay will change your shit in the app or on the desktop without you knowing it if you don't pay attention. So let's not make it like you just take a picture and it sells, No,
and I'm not saying it sells, but it's out there, and that kind of thing. And like you say, are you protected from cases? Sounds like all of us have. I mean, I have had like 2 cases opened up on me in 20 years. So it sounds like we're super low on cases and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're taking the precautions you need, but beyond that, if you want to start selling, making sure fields are filled out correctly, what else do you got to do?
I'm just saying, like I said, it takes me about 20 minutes for each listing to build it. And what I do is I build all my listings on my phone and I save them. So, I queue them all up, because for me, I also like the idea of having a bunch of listings go up at the same time. That way, in the search results, if you're listing the same type of, or the same scale of figure or the same group of figure, if you do the random search, you'll see all of your listings kind of pop up in a row,
Yeah.
and you don't have to pay eBay any fee to start at a special time or whatever, So I like to build my listings and just save them on the phone, and you can build as many as you want, have them preloaded with all your pictures, and all you have to do whenever you're ready to list, just click the listing button and it'll just do it. But like I said, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to set up each one of those listings. And I'm not going to lie, the reason why I sold all of those figures at my local comic shop was to really get me kickstarted and selling again. I haven't sold in a long time. And I was feeling the blues of just not wanting to go through that whole eBay thing again, of doing that stuff. So, listen, we all want the easy money, right? We all want the easy way out. That's the truth. It's the laziness of it's very easy to buy, right? We can buy all day long. Buy. It's very hard to sell. It's hard for us to get the momentum started to actually start selling. Now, I will say, Brian, that once you start selling, it gets you motivated to continue selling. So that's really the secret is once you start selling, even if you just list maybe 5 figures and one of those 5 sell, it will actually give you motivation to list another 5 figures. So
I agree.
Don't take a break. If you take a break, you're going to feel like you're in a slump, and you're not going to want to start up again,
So I was going to say, as far as this question, as far as breaking the seal, so to speak, in a perfect world, which is obviously not this year, if you're skeptical and you're very paranoid, the absolute best way to get started selling is probably 2 things. Number 1, I would get a goal in mind for what you want to do with any potential sales money. Are you trying to save money? Are you trying to pay for, are you trying to go back to school, buy a new car, put a down payment on something? Get that in your head. Like, you want a goal. And then number 2, the safest and easiest money is going to be at toy shows. You have to find a big, heavily attended toy show that caters to what you have. So don't go to a comic show if you have a shit ton of Transformers. 99% of comic shows are for people that want comic book shit, they want to cosplay, and they're fucking poor. Like, that's just how it is. I'm not even fucking kidding. The only shows I've ever had where I didn't make fucking money were very comic heavy. And I did them because I just wanted to get out there. I'm trying to get my name out there, and you never know. Somebody could walk through the door. But what I mean is, like here in Ohio, we have a great shit ton of shows that are huge. Like, I'm talking the one here in this city is damn near as big as the last BotCon I went to. And it's just a general toy show. And it's not that BotCon is the biggest thing in the world, but it was a pretty heavily thing. It was a pretty heavy duty thing. And basically all you need for that is you'll have to buy a vendor's license for the day or the weekend or whatever. Those are usually pretty cheap. And then you just have to figure out how you want to set your stuff up. If you're not trying to do it full time, you can't think of it that way. You want to do one show, you want to get a shit ton of money in your hands right away. And like Lotus said, that will absolutely, especially if you have a goal, you're going to see that money in your hand. You're going to be like, all right, yes, I can learn this. It's easy. It really is. It's not easy in the sense that it doesn't take effort. It's easy in the sense that to learn things that work for you will come naturally as you do it. So like doing a toy show, you know, is so much, it's a lot more physical work than just listing a bunch of stuff on eBay. But you get a feel for the crowd. You learn about what people are looking for. You see what other people are spending on stuff that you maybe thought was worth a lot or worth a little. And then you get to network with people. I mean, almost every person I know in the hobby has either been from podcasting or from doing toy shows. And it's probably been more helpful to me from the people I've met at toy shows. I'll put it that way. And yeah, there's nothing like going to a toy show. And, you know, like I remember the first time I sold at BotCon, I was right next to, it was either TF Source or BBTS. And I'm like, I have 2 tables. I'm just this chump from Ohio. And I made so much fucking money. I couldn't believe it, because a lot of it, you know, I had it online for months or weeks. And, you know, like I always have a steady flow at that time, but you know, the big hitters, and I look at the pricing and I'm like, everyone here has shit for twice eBay. So, okay, well, I'll put it at what I'm selling it for on eBay, and boom. You know what I mean? I don't have to pay any fees. Yeah, there's more overhead getting there, but I can sit at home and make, you know, maybe $300 on the weekend on online sales. But if you do a toy show, the potential to get that cash in your hand, and then once you get that shit, you're going to be like, yeah, I got to sell as much as I can. Like, it's, to me, that's the best way to do it. But if you can't do that, you gotta make one listing and have somebody look it over real fast, so you don't trap yourself with like forgetting an option. Like, don't offer free shipping if you don't want to have to pay potentially $30-$40 to ship across the country. You know, there's just little things like that you need to pay attention to. How you write your description, you got to be very careful. You don't want to give too much information and get too specific, because that's where people can nitpick and open a case. Like if you say this is an absolute mint condition,
Yeah, you don't want to.
they open that box and there's a piece of styrofoam from a packing peanut, they're gonna want their money back. You know, it's stuff like that you have to watch out for. So just have someone that knows what they're doing review it for you. But yeah, just, you know, understand your limitations. If you only have 5 boxes in your house, don't list 30 items. Things like that. But once you start doing it once or twice, you know exactly how much bubble wrap. Like me, I can count the pieces of 12-inch bubble wrap I need for any figure. I know exactly how much it's going to weigh after I box it up. If it's this kind of box, if I put it in a plastic bag, I know it's going to go first class, cost me this much every single time.
So, yeah. So, I mean, so the toy shows are a great idea. I've been to toy shows. I think it's a great experience. It's fun to buy something at a toy show. Brian specifically, he always goes to NJCC. So he's very familiar with toy shows. I mean, the guys in the realm, they usually buy up like all the tables, you know, at NJCC and sell. So, but for people who are, you know, in this new world that we're living in with, you know, this stupid virus thing, whatever, I think we're going to be, I don't know how prevalent it's going to be. I mean, anytime I go to a toy show, it was a very congested feeling. You bump into everybody, you know, so I don't know how that's going to feel in this new environment that we're living in, or that we're going through, you know. So I'm not too sure if that's really on the table right now, so to speak. But so I would say for now, you know, anyone who wants to sell, they need to just focus on selling on one of these online sites, whether it's eBay, Mercari, or whatever, you know, and just give it a shot. It's the idea of just putting 1 or 2 items up there. They happen to sell. And now it is good to have more than 1 item posted at the same time, because you get extra search hits. So if you have, you know, a series of characters that you want to sell, you know, it is good to list them all in the same time. That way people will click on your other listings. They'll see more and more. And you may, you know, have someone buy 2 figures from you instead of just 1. And then you can put them in the same box kind of thing.
Yeah. What I was getting at though was, you don't want to, if you have, like I said, if you have 30, 40 things that you want to sell immediately, you don't want to put those all up right away, because you may not have the resources yet.
Oh, Right,
to
right.
fulfill, because you never know. You could have a weekend where all 30 pop off, and you got 3 boxes and 2 pieces of bubble tape, and
Yeah,
all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I said I could ship the next day. I don't have any fucking bubble wrap. What do I do?
yeah. I mean, worst comes to worst, like I said, Walmart has some very inexpensive boxes. I would say Walmart is probably the cheapest for just regular brown boxes. I would recommend anybody who has an eBay account to just go on the the U.S. Post Service account. If you have a postal USPS account, go on their website and just order a bunch of the priority mail boxes. They offer them for free, so you can stock up on them. They'll ship them right to your door. There's no
And your
no
carrier will
charge.
fucking hate you.
It's
Just so you
okay.
know.
It's part of their job. I mean, it's part of their job. You don't have to order a ton. Just one of each size that you feel you're gonna use. Don't order everything off the website, but just
They come in
you know
packs of 10, correct?
packs of 10 and
Minimum?
packs of 25. The large box is awesome. It's 12 by 12 by 8, and it's very, very useful. And your local post office is not going to have these boxes. These are straight priority mail boxes. They're not flat rate. The flat rate are the ones the post office is going to have locally. So your local post office is going to stock the flat rate priority mail, which are very expensive. These boxes are just the straight up priority mail boxes that don't have that flat rate requirement. So you still have to weigh them. And also get yourself a little scale. I mean, the scale really will save you. Like Swage said, when you're basically looking at the difference between priority mail and first class, with first class mail, you have to use a brown box. You can't use the priority mail box, but you can mail something for around, $5.50, $6. That's basically under 1 pound. And so one carded figure, you can definitely get that out there for under $6, and it still arrives to them within like 3 to 4 days. So
Now keep in mind though, that's only online pricing through PayPal.
correct, it's only
So-
through online pricing. When you sell your item, for me, I like using the online option, where when you sell it, you basically go through the eBay, or you can go through PayPal directly to get the discount. I actually find eBay to be cheaper for their shipping than PayPal direct, which is kind of weird, but eBay gives you a really good break, especially if you're selling large items. Like for me, I was selling statues that are just huge volumetric boxes, and so I would have to sell through FedEx. I had to ship through FedEx. And so eBay gives you an option to basically open up a FedEx quote, and they usually give you about 35 to 40% off of what it would cost you if you just use your regular FedEx account. The only bad part about the eBay FedEx scenario is they do not take that money directly out of your account. It is a monthly service, which means they basically they'll bill you they basically bill you on a monthly basis. So you don't truthfully know the final charges until that item is cleared through the system. But in all of my selling, the quotes that they give you on the screen, I usually take a screenshot of the quote, and it's always very, very close to what the final fee is. And that's for FedEx. When I'm talking about shipping very large boxes, like refrigerator size boxes. So
Yeah, that was a big thing that I found with a couple of my shipments where, and granted, I probably should have said something, but I'm always that guy that chooses first class or priority or parcel select, whatever the lowest USPS, and then the priority. But anytime it's big or it's heavy, FedEx is going to kill USPS. So don't just be like, oh, I do USPS because that's the easiest. I saved like $20 shipping one item by going with FedEx over USPS.
Yeah, and FedEx also wins the battle over UPS. So FedEx is cheaper than UPS, but yes, FedEx and UPS are cheaper than USPS when it comes to large volume package, because everything right now is dimensional weight for folks that don't know about that. Basically what you do is you measure up all of the sides of the actual box itself, and that gives you your dimensional weight. And then on top of that, you have your physical weight. So there's two different measurements that the post office, FedEx, UPS are using now to ship boxes. And if it's a priority mail box or an express box or something that has to go on an airplane, they drastically use the dimensional weight calculations to give you your pricing. So it makes a big difference. You don't always want to put a single small figure in a very large box, because that could actually cost you more money than putting that figure in the right size box if you're shipping any kind of an air service, like I said, priority mail, express, whatever.
Well, just for the record, first class goes by airplane too.
Yes, it does.
Well,
But
that's
first
okay.
class, you can only do up to a pound. The size of the box doesn't matter for some reason with first class, which is very interesting. But
Well, it's supposed to be, it has to be under 12 inches, but I think if you get commercial pricing, it has to stay under any oversized.
eBay is now allowing you to do like larger sizes if you
Right,
go
like
through.
that's because I just, like I was saying,
Right,
because
right.
it's commercial. I think if you
That's
win,
right.
if you try to go in the post office though and do that shit, you still only get up to 13 ounces max, and I think it can only be 12 or 14 inches long.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to the post office and do that anyway; it's too expensive.
Okay, so let's get back to these questions. I need to wrap up here soon. We've made Brink hold the entire show to answer his questions here. So large, he's talking about 15,000 here. How do you protect yourself? What do you do?
Cash, money.
Yeah, I was gonna say cash is the
No. Hang on. A wire transfer.
Okay.
A wire transfer cannot be returned. I'm talking about
And it's
actual
immediately reported to the government.
I'm t-
Immediately.
Yeah, it's reported to the government. I'm just saying that it is a one-way transaction. If you go to a bank, I'm not talking about Western Union or whatever. I'm talking about if you go to your bank and you do a wire transfer, that money is out of your account and that's it. There's no way to get it. So if you try to buy a car or whatever, you're out of luck getting that money back.
Interesting.
It's a one-way.
And so, Swage, what you're saying is, but you're trying to avoid the taxes, right? Because that's going to get reported.
No, it's nothing is safer than cash in hand. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I don't give a shit. You're not sending me a credit card, pay me. No. You're paying big money like that. I'll count for hours if I have to. You can pay me in ones.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I mean, if you're doing a $15,000 transaction, most likely the person is going to be hopping on a plane, coming to your residence, and maybe renting a U-Haul truck and driving back. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to ship. I would imagine that's going to be a local transaction anyway.
No matter what.
Who's selling something for 15 grand anyway? Was Brink have a special
not a one something, right? Like you,
yeah,
like
a whole
you said.
collection. Like who's is someone trying to liquidate and just say I'm done with everything? Is that the idea?
Hey, that super rare one-off defense sword, is that still on eBay? That's 30 G's or 35.
The G2 defense
That's
sword.
true.
Yeah. Did that ever sell?
I have no idea.
That's a pricey bastard.
So
That's
still
these
on
sales
with
guys
us.
he always has different stuff.
So there's lots of so I use printable mailing labels that I get from UPS for free, even though I never ship UPS, which sounds awful, but lots of times I get figures wrapped in USPS priority, like bubble mailers, but then they just put them in a regular mailer as well. So if you want to get a little underground with it. You know, there's definitely those options. I get lots of stuff in priority boxes with brown paper bags, like wrapping it, you know, to do that. But that's definitely an option. So yeah,
Hey, I
as
gotta
far-
answer Brian real quick, man. He said apparently he's laughing that I had sent him this giant fucking MMC Prediking in a computer tower box.
Yeah.
Who has that laying around? I do, motherfucker. And you know why? Because when people buy a whole bunch of shit, you gotta have something.
That's
Next time, Brian, what I'll do if you ever buy from me again is I'll just put bubble wrap around it and then my brown craft paper, so you don't have to get a stupid computer box to protect your shit, and we'll call it a day.
I hoard boxes and packing material just the way I do my figures too.
Yep.
Okay, so high-end shit, basically cash or, like Lotus says, wire transfer. Anything that can't be reversed, because you're right. If it can be reversed, it's going to get reversed. And you don't want to be that one guy that sold your entire collection and then somebody reversed the credit card charge and you don't have any fucking path to reconciliation. He says, okay, so as in-person collection, someone wants to pay you with a check. Obviously, this is risky and probably should be avoided. Or what if they pay you with cash? Are there taxes you have to pay, such as a large deposit? And should you adjust your price to compensate for taxes if you want the full value on the collection you sold? So it looks like he's really taking the stance of, hey, you're selling off a huge chunk of your collection, right?
Yeah. So for the taxes part, in most states, you're going to need at least a temporary vendor's license. If you're going to do this like straight by the book, you either need to have a temporary or maybe even a permanent vendor's license, or you really would want to be established as an LLC or some sort of business already. As far as adjusting the price for taxes, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. You have to, the customer has to pay the taxes. You have to collect it. So you cannot like overcharge them because you're going to have to collect the taxes because they pay the taxes to begin with. Now, if you want to give a price that already includes taxes, then that's by the book. Checks, fuck that shit. Don't ever say that word again. I haven't even seen a paper check in probably 15 years.
Yeah, who even writes a check?
I had a
What
job
if-
say I had to give them a check to get direct deposit. I was like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I was like, and they got all shitty with me, and I was like, no. I was like, who the fuck uses checks? I was like, I'm not paying $50 for 10 checks so I could give you one of them for nothing. Fuck that. I was like, here's the account number. Here's the other account number. Give me my fucking money. Yeah, so like if you're trying to do that shit legit like that, and like going back to the toy show thing, usually every toy show I've been to, when you set up and you pay, or even when they collect, the fee for setting up, they typically will give you a packet and it will inform you that you are required to have a vendor's license. And if you don't have one, here's how you get one. Because you can also, typically you can do it like if you say you sell a bunch of shit, and it's like on a Saturday and they're not open, you couldn't get a license. You can typically say have like 7 business days or something to do it by the book and go to the local office, get that temporary permit, and then you will report your income after the fact accordingly. And it's going to ask you for your total income, all the taxes you collected from that. And then you'll basically get like a form or a receipt so that you can use that for when you file your taxes at the end of the year.
Yeah, and I've sold at toy shows locally every year for the last 10 years. And literally this last one was the first one that they had a fucking, not IRS, it wasn't federal, but they had a state tax representative there saying, have you filled out one of these? It wasn't all nice and prepared like what you've got, Swage, but they were taking our names. They were giving these packets. They're like, you need to pay for this, vendor license that's today, and then you're going to have to pay for all your sales tax and all this. And everybody's like, oh yeah, my name's this, my number's this, and sure. And I never did it. I haven't seen it. That was 2 years ago.
Good for you.
At this point. But
while we're talking about taxes, as far as eBay is concerned, for people that don't know, eBay is actually collecting the tax, or actually PayPal is collecting eBay is collecting the tax. It's based on the destination of where the item is shipped, so it's not. The seller is not actually collecting taxes. And if your state is the one that is requiring the tax, that's what's happening. It's not the seller that is saying, oh, I'm collecting extra money. And, the reason why the PayPal charge, added taxes, so just to put that out there, it's eBay basically requiring, it's the states that are requiring eBay to collect the tax, and the money doesn't actually go to the seller at all. Like, you don't even see that money.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people online talk about, well, my PayPal came through and it had all this extra money, but then it was way shorter than it should have been because of taxes. And I'm like, no, you're not reading the invoice correctly.
Yeah,
it's
people are ridiculous.
They collected taxes and then they dispersed it to themselves.
Right.
And you still took your normal amount of fees. I think sometimes they forget that if someone pays with a credit card, the fees are higher from PayPal. So they lose another 1.5% or 0.5% or whatever. But yeah, the sellers, they can't even, that used to be an option for sellers. Now you have no choice. There's going to be tax on your buyer 100% of the time unless they fuck up somehow.
Yeah, unless your state actually doesn't require the tax to be collected. So if you're shipping the toy to a state that does not require taxes to be collected, eBay won't collect the taxes for that transaction.
yeah,
So
That's pretty
Like
rare,
that.
though.
yeah. What is it, like Delaware and Montana are the only two that don't have sales tax or something? But yeah, so taxes are one of those things where, and eBay now is saying if you sell more than $10,000 in a year, that they'll submit your shit to the IRS. So you'll get a fucking.
When is that going to start?
Would be
Because I just looked at the policy 3 weeks ago and it was still 20.
So the dollar amount's just different. I got that notice 2 years ago. But if now they're saying 20, but
Well, 20 was the standard until what you just said that. So are they starting that recently, or because I know they were actually fighting a lot of those.
That was something I saw a long time ago, and I could be wrong. Maybe that number's sticking in my head because of the federal bank deposit thing that
which is lower. That's been lowered now to $3,000, by the way.
Oh, has it? Oh,
yeah.
See.
Yeah, 10 grand is shit now. You put in $3,000 in the bank, they want to see every fucking penny counted.
Well, luckily I don't have that problem very often. So,
Yeah.
but Brian saying here, talking about, maybe if a collector passes away, and that's the thing too, is everybody like set up with a loved one to where they know what they need to do. Like Mrs. McFavorite literally knows to reach out to Vern and Peter and offer them a percentage of my collection, room and board, if they can swing it, and come out here and figure out what they think would be best to do with it, and if that's, like Lotus talked about, calling in fucking Brian's Toys, or, if they're like, oh, let me go through everything and cherry pick the good stuff and then we'll do that, like that's literally her instructions, and that's awful. And she reminds me about it every time I have a heart palpitation or my left arm feels a little numb or something. She reminds me that that's her only instructions to get rid of a fucking 10,000 piece collection. It's like ridiculous. Do you guys have anywhere on that magnitude of issue? I mean, do you have plans on, Swage or your cat's going to eat you if you die?
Don't ever fucking say I have a cat again. I will cut that fucking mustache off and feed it to whatever animals nearby. Fucking cat. You know better. You did that shit on purpose.
It was a lucky
I have
that might rile you up.
Oh, bastard.
But anyway,
I do have a very minimalistic plan. It's somewhat similar, but there's some names I have, and it's basically, these are people I've talked to, and I've said, something were to happen to me, I just want you, to be fair to my family and take all my stuff, offer what you can, something reasonable. And I trust that they, they're not going to take 20 grand worth of stuff and be like, oh yeah, here's $1,500. You know what I mean? But I know that they're reasonable and they can get cash in hand fast. So it's one of those, but it's not like Thorazine. He actually has a software thing where he has every single thing he owns, the exact name, the title, the accessories, pictures of every single part of it, and a general value. So that way, if something happens, his family knows exactly how to list it, how much money they should expect, something along those lines. And I think he started that when he did the Plastique Boutique site, that he kind of was getting into that at the same time, which is a fantastic idea if you have the time and the space to get all the pictures ready. But literally, they click on that file, and it's an entire database, and it can be organized by pictures or by figure names. So if they don't know the name, they can look at the pictures. So they have the toy in their hand, and they say, okay, well, it needs this thing. Okay, there it is. So now we know it's complete. I have nothing like that, but everything I have is basically orderly if it's stored, and if it's not, I keep everything by everything. So it's not like I have a box of weapons in Missouri, but all my speakers are here, and then all the boxes are in a storage unit. It's nothing like that. And I don't have a giant value of stuff at any point anyway, because like I've said before, once something's worth too much money, I sell it anyway, because I don't want that kind of problem. But yeah, I just have a couple contacts that I'm like, hey, contact one of these three people, whoever you feel most comfortable with, and they know that I've given them that number, that if something were to happen, that's what they're calling about, is that something happened to me and they need help getting rid of this stuff, and that they need money to take care of whatever, final expenses or whatever the hell, or, if I get my leg cut off and I'm in a coma.
Cliff, what about you? You've been patiently hanging out, listen to all of our selling rhetoric. You have any plans? If you keeled over, you're only eating 800 calories a day. I can't believe you're still alive at this point. But
thank you.
He really wants to know your plan. You're the first one gone.
No, my plans are, I don't give a shit. Do what you want.
Pilfer and pillage.
Like, my friends will know what to do. My sister probably will know what to do. They're like, I don't think, like, none of my family, they're like, you're 40 years old. Why are you buying toys?
So nobody still understands, and you don't buy them for the value, but nobody understands that these things still hold a lot of value.
Yes, but if I am dead, I give a fuck what you do with it, because it's not my problem. fucking build a funeral pyre with me on top and set it ablaze. I don't give a shit.
I think Cliff took this the entire wrong way, but this is awesome.
No, but I don't. There's no plan. I mean, like my brother passed away suddenly like 2 years ago. Like, there was no plan for his stuff. Unfortunately, he had a junkie girlfriend who, I believe, threw it all away or sold it for drug money. I didn't give any of it for his kids, but no, there's no plan. I mean, like there's a storage. It's all in a storage unit or here in this bedroom, so it's not like anyone has to search for it.
Yeah, exactly. Lotus, what about you?
I mean, I'm just in that phase right now of just constantly selling, and so I feel that I won't have any type of a problem. So I'm just and you know, I have all these like weird OCDs of stuff having to be in its place, and you know, stuff organized and clean and all that. And it's like I said, it's very good to clear out a closet and to see that closet empty. It's a
Oh
great
my God.
feeling. It's an excellent
Oh,
feeling. But I'm the kind of person, like I said, I organize my bubble wrap, I organize my boxes. Like, I mean, I literally take like, you know how you have like different size boxes. Like I take them, I open them, I put them, you know, I kind of stack them like a Russian nesting doll, you know, and I have, you know, bubble wrap all like, you know, organized by large, medium, small, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's nice. It's just nice to get rid of boxes, you know, and see that your supply is going down. And like I said, I'm not doing it for any type of, you know, that's not my job. I'm just selling just to get rid of it, you know, as just a regular collector. I'm not doing like what Swage is doing. So it's a little bit of a different scenario, but it's like I said, that's one thing that it is nice is to, like, if you have a room in your house that is just full of toys, you know, and it's something that you know are looking to get that room back, you know, and use that room for something else. It is a good feeling to, you know, get a little bit of money for the stuff that you have in that room and then be able to use that room again. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and I agree. Like I sold a bunch of stuff at the beginning of my last unemployment, and it cleared up space in my room. I could walk through my room more, and it got addictive at some point. I was posting and posting and posting, but I will say it's just as easy to like stop, and then now I feel like I'm so behind again. It just like the post for the podcast for the last shows. There's just always something else there that I can do instead of selling stuff now. Whereas I was on a roll and I needed to not stop that. I needed to just keep that going, because now it's kind of like, oh God, I got to do so much to get back into it. So yeah, I'm with you, Lotus. My shit's all super organized. I have Tetrised my empty boxes so clean that I have probably 50 boxes in the space of one box, you know.
Another thing that I did that kind of helped me out is I took like when I was talking about like those 70 figures, I took all those figures and like put them in my kitchen and just, you know, just had them
absorbed them.
Visually just taking up all of that space and cluttering my countertops. And, you know, I had them just in an ugly position, just, you know, littered in my kitchen. And the idea of that, you know, it bothered me, you know, just because, like I said, I have these OCDs that I need to have everything nice in its place and clean. And even though I had them all organized, you know, nicely in a row, it was still bothering me that they were there. And me pulling the trigger of taking all that to the comic shop really just, when I came back home with the cash in my pocket, it was a great feeling, guys. I mean, even though it was nowhere near what I probably could have done if I would have sold it all on eBay individually, it was a great feeling to have my kitchen look nice and neat and, you know, have that money in my pocket and the closet emptied, you know.
Hell yeah. Well, all right. We've been at this about 2.5 hours now. This is amazing. This went in a completely different direction that I had actually thought it was going to go in. So
Hey, Brian, Brink is bragging there's no sales tax, but don't forget you still got to pay the income tax, bruh.
yeah, if you're selling.
Trying to get all technical on me now, getting all mad. I got a computer box and shit coming up in here. I come back
Yeah,
on the show
Brink-
finally, and you're just gonna razz me the whole time, talking about cats, computer boxes. Ah.
Yeah, Brinkalizer and T-Tour X6. I think they're both Delaware kids. This magic state where everybody wants to be a company and you don't have to pay any sales tax on anything. Oh shit. All right. Well, that's our first discussion show. I had an absolute blast. We'll please look forward to more of these in the future. Suggest some if you think, if we can talk for an hour about it, let's fucking talk for an hour about it. It's so nice not to have to do any show notes. There won't be any long posts for this. It'll just be edited together and set up on the audio stream. So thank you everybody that joined us live throughout this. This actually, I think, is the most people participating since we've been doing live shows. So that speaks well to it. But we got Cass, we got Brian, KJ Smith up in the house, Shane Montroy, of course. Rock, after he had to get off the actual show, joined in to listen to the show. Love that shit. So, and then About Figs 155 coming in at the end. So thank you guys, and we'll see you sooner rather than later.
Or later rather than sooner. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.